This is my writing reflection presentation. The human's brain's main goal is to grow. The key way to grow is to learn. Learning isn't hard. Every day we learn something. It just doesn't always process to our mental being that we have learned something, which ends up meaning that most of the things we learn go past our main thoughts. Reading and writing is one way that we can learn something, but it may not process that we have learned it. Writing is a key way to communication. Writing also helps release stress. What I mean by this is that our heads are filled with so much that by putting some of our thoughts on paper makes more room in our head so it doesn't feel so crammed and overwhelmed. Are all types of writing the same? No. There are many categories and types of writing, and they can be different from each other. But even if all writing isn't the same, they all rely on the same foundation of spelling and punctuation. Well, most types of writing rely on this foundation. I'm looking at you, poetry. My favorite storyteller is Kiera Cass. Kiera Cass is a YA author who wrote the Selection series and The Siren. She is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Selection series. In one of her interviews that I have seen, she never expected to be given this title for her books in the first place. Her best trait, in my opinion, is voice. One example is, the dining room was to the right, they told me, and the great room was to the left. I caught a glimpse of the sprawling gardens out of the glass doors, and I wish I could stop. Before I could even process where we were going, they pulled me into a huge room full of bustling people. I could tell even before the end that things were busy and it was a lot to process in a short amount of time. How has she inspired me? Growing up, I never really liked reading, but when I read her books, it changed my life. I couldn't stop myself from reading. Her voice and her stories were so strong that I was able to feel the characters' emotions like if they were my own. Because of that, I want to write stories that can get to people's hearts and find comfort with my characters. Here's a part from my short story, The Girl Who Lived in Water. She took one glance at him, and before his eyes could understand what was happening, she had pulled him into the water with her. I was trying to have the readers sense or feel the same surprise that he did, but I don't think I got to that level of voice yet, so I'll have to keep trying. Thank you for listening to my presentation.